looks like everybody's here.
Have we had this many people in this in a long time?
Yeah, it's like, did everybody grab? This is the treat, the trick's coming later.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Okay, let's all
I'll
stand
wait for the
and
tricks.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good afternoon, everybody. Everybody sign in. The minutes from last meeting.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Public comment? Nope.
I wanted Snickers.
What time are the tricks coming?
Patience, my dear, patience.
Trickery will begin anytime now.
Okay, comments is Snickers next year. Okay, just for you, Shannon. Moving on, number 4, program of projects update. Did everybody get a chance to look at this? At the FHWA summary. So what I've done here is I've funded everybody, all their projects at 80%. And you can read what the balance is for each year.
On the back of the big page?
Back to the big page. There's a lot of red there. So the trick is, I'm going to be balancing this spending plan, or Ann and I are gonna be balancing the spending plan, I should say. And that means that some projects will be pushed out. So I will discuss it with everybody before I move your projects out. Just so that may not be an option, but just so you be prepared if your mayor or your county councilman or someone asks. Okay? So we need to balance this and get this constrained. This is just showing what we have. Right now, we are balanced, but that is everybody getting somewhere right around, well, between 70 and 80%, probably 60 and 80% funding. So I know that everybody likes to be fully funded at 80% or 90% if you're a safety project. But to do that, we get all this red at the bottom. Any discussion on that?
How soon?
I should have it done, I'll probably look at it next week. So I can hold off until after the elections if that helps anybody.
Well, about the appointments.
The appointments?
That's
That's December, that's January, right?
An hour later.
So
There's your truck.
There's
that's the trick.
That's the truth.
That's why there's candy.
Yeah, I see.
candy in the
Or
world,
our
Charles.
Actually, the trick is the next one, 4B, the 24 to 28 tip explanation. We did talk to most of everybody at the quarterly meetings, but essentially, the EPA gave us air conformity numbers that were unrealistic. And when we got those, we realized it, and I think the EPA then realized it too, that there was really no way we could hit those metrics. Being an air quality maintenance area, we have to meet these metrics for air quality. But to give us new numbers means this is done in Washington DC, and they have to be posted and go through public comment and then put in the Federal Register. And they're telling us that to do all that and then to get the NERC's Metropolitan Transportation Plan and then also the TIP to get that all approved to be in the spring. They haven't told us, and I'm trying to get them to pin down a little more approximate timeline than spring. Because to me, a spring is anywhere from January to June, really. January, I like that, but June, if it comes in June, we are in a whole heap of trouble. As far as amendments, we can't do any amendments to our TIP. We can make minor changes as in admin and administrative modifications, which is a minor change, but we cannot do any amendments to the TIP because our new TIP hasn't been approved. So right now we are operating under the 22 to 2026 TIP. And everything that was approved prior to July 25th is in there, so. And I've talked with several people at NDOT and showed them where it is.
Everything that was approved July 25th of this year?
Of this year, yes.
Okay.
So if you're already in here programmed in 24, right, Charles, 24 and 25, you already put that in to the July.
Yes, I tried to be proactive anyway and put, if anybody had funds from the NOFA in 2024 or 2025, I tried to put those projects in the TIP, in an amendment in the TIP. So they've automatically be ready to go. So it's frustrating on my end because, like I said, at least once a week I get a phone call with someone from NDOT telling me, you can't do this. And my response is, yes, I can. And so then I show them anyway, we can do this. If it's been there already, some new projects won't get in there, but Federal Highway has told us that they'll work with us on if we need a project, if we're at risk of losing funding, they'll work with us on getting a project in the TIP or ways around that. So that's where that's at.
So that's because of an EPA error?
Yeah, yes.
Mayor's not gonna like the sound of that.
You know, we're all going through it. So. Any other questions on that?
And Charles, I think you said, excuse me, that there are a handful of other MPOs going through that same problem.
Yeah.
Park Streets.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so this isn't just a NERC problem. there's 4 MPOs in northwest Indiana that are facing the same situation. So we're not exclusive in this club, but we're not stuck, but we're mired in 14 feet of mud. Yeah, so if anybody needs, I can, if you have a project that is your NEPA or your right-of-way is stalled for some reason, let me know. We've done some looking. Ann and I have done some looking. I don't believe any projects that had construction in 24 are at risk in LaPorte County. But we were looking at right-of-way and design, if anybody had right-of-way or design, if those projects would be at risk also. And so we're gonna work on getting those incorporated, if they're not incorporated already. So this program of projects that you see here, I've gone through and I've taken all the numbers updated all the numbers for construction on, from the quarterly meetings, your quarterly reports. So if there's an error on here, there's probably because there's an error in your quarterly report or it hasn't been updated. So please let me know. We can update these. And before I start balancing, because it could affect which projects I ask to move out of one year or the other. And we've said in the past that we will fund construction first and foremost. So any project that has construction on it, they will get the 80%. And then the remaining funds will go towards design or a right-of-way. Now, if you have a planning project, that's different. But as far as design, if you get a PO or right-of-way, if you get a PO, you can start working on that. In fact, you can complete it. We can pay you in arrears. But normally, you gotta get the PO first before you can start incurring costs on that phase. So I may give you, like, say, if you have a $300,000 design that you're asking for, I may give you, say, $100,000, and then you can go, and then if we have any money later on, we can give it to you later on, or next year I can give you some money if your construction's a few years out. So keep that in mind too. If we just get that PO going, that's the important thing. So, but it takes a little trust because you're technically on the hook for doing everything, but we'll do everything we can to get you the funds. And I think is there? Yeah, we have like $50,000 set aside for change orders, so typically over here in group 2, you guys don't use that, so there's an extra $50,000 we can put towards the project at the end of the year if it hasn't been used. So just something to keep in mind. Any questions on that?
What happened to the funds that were maybe going to appear, but we didn't really?
Yeah, I have that in new business.
Okay.
So, and we're kind of there because we're talking about our quarterly meetings, restructuring the project, so. Moving on 5A we already discussed, I think. If you want, we can,
There's not money for it right now, so.
no, I'll go ahead and discuss that 5C. Early on, what was in July, I think, I got an email saying we were gonna get this money. NDOT was getting 310 million or something like that. And so they were gonna share it with the MPOs. Yeah, well, that never happened. NDOT did get the money and they kept it for themselves. But that money expired on September 30th. So we probably couldn't have used it anyway. So, yeah, we probably couldn't have used it anyway. I'd have to look. Actually, I have some projects that we did put in, we would have used some of it, but we probably wouldn't have used the whole money that was given to us. But anyway, yeah, it was disheartening for me because I was telling the other T-Rock, it's like telling your kids they're gonna get a bike or a dollhouse for Christmas. And then Christmas morning comes and it's not there. For whatever reason, it's not there. I mean, it was just mean. So.
As part of your reshuffling, you'll be looking at trying to get our Park Street and
Yes.
intersection improvement into the
Yes.
same year.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I want to get those in the same year.
And we still have DES 1902008 on the list, but that's the FY24 various pavement that we're canceling.
Is this still on there? Yes, it is. I did just taken it off
And I did,
yesterday.
I did get just today, a change order for the preemption project to get more vehicle detection kits. I was
Okay.
hoping to use those funds. Use
Well,
those funds
we'll
for that,
see, we'll
but-
see.
yeah.
Send me that. I haven't seen anything from,
And then one last thing, I got an updated, where we think we'll be at the very end of the contract, so for 1601867 CE, they think that they will only expend up to 200, so it's not 142,834, we only need 110,34.
which project's that?
That's a off-road trail report, Jesse Trail too.
1601867. 16,167.
Third from the bottom.
Yeah. So you only need 110?
Yep, 110,3440.
And a half a cent.
Did we ever give you the 142 as it's shown? Is that a change order for additional funds?
I've been asking for it for a while, I don't know if I have it yet.
Okay.
That's where we didn't program the full amount.
Right. Moving forward at this next NOFA, I'll probably only be funding, NERC will probably only be funding design and right-of-way and construction inspection at somewhere around 70%. I've been noticing at our quarterly meetings that there's, seems to be always funds left over. And I need to run some numbers. and see how this kind of pans out. And it's not a lot, but the point is when we allocate funds to a project, if you don't use all those funds, then those funds disappear. So, and it's everybody, and I know when you do right away, you're taking an estimate early on and then asking for those funds. Well, if the appraisals come back, and granted, it might be a good estimate, I'm not saying anything about anybody's estimates, but if the appraisals come back differently, then that extra money we can't allocate toward, can't even move it to construction, you can't move it to design or anything like that. And same with construction inspection, that's all hourly. So if you don't use all the funds, then those funds just vanish. So if we can save that money, granted, I mean, overall, I think every project, it seems like it's coming around, somewhere right around 5,000, it just seems like. But if we have like 15 projects, we're talking, is that $75,000 that we're just losing. So yeah, granted, that's not a whole lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but it's still money we're losing. So I think if we move to something like a 70% or a 75% pay for and only design right away in construction inspection, then I think that'll work everything else out. But that'll start with this next year's NOFA coming up.
But when,
So everything that is now will stay. So if you, like this 110 that you're asking for, that still applies.
but when, so in the agreement, we would have with NDOT, it'd be set at whatever our match is for reimbursement. Right?
Right.
So I think the one thing I want to be careful of is maybe we fund to a certain point at 80%.
We just keep
But
the
knowing-
agreement, we just keep the agreement, we just,
Yeah.
instead of, if you ask for $200,000, we're only gonna give you, say, 190 or 180.
Yeah.
And that 80% will take you all the way per your agreement. And then after that,
Yeah, but if, so we just need to make sure that contractually our agreements with NDOT reflect an 80%. Because, and us knowing that we are not allocated to the full amount of the contract, because then if we do save $10,000, if it's set at 75%,
yeah,
we're not
the
gonna
same
get it.
problem.
We're the same problem, it's just, it's a smaller number for
Right,
two and a bigger number for the communities. So we just
Right.
need to make sure we're overmatching, but reimbursing at the 80%.
right. So, yeah, keep that in mind when you sign your agreements with Marcy and Brianne.
Okay.
And I'll talk to, thanks for bringing that up. I'll talk to Marcy and Brianne and make sure that, I'll tell them what we're doing, so that they don't automatically change your
The
contracts.
numbers.
Yeah.
So, but it's something you're just gonna have to keep in mind that the numbers that, when you call myself or Ann, that is one set of, we're talking about one thing, and when you talk to Marcy and Brianne, you're talking about something else.
Because we needed one more layer of confusion. Just one.
We're the government, we're here to help.
Thanks.
Next October, the next NOFA?
Yes,
November?
yes. Yes,
And that's for what years?
that'll be for 28.
28, 29,
Yeah, 29, 30, actually.
29, 30.
That'll be for the 26 to 30 tip. These years are just ticking by.
I know, it's, yeah. Go for it. Go for it. I might even say it. until this damn fails.
You can retire in your mind, just not literally.
No, that's what they call quiet quitting, isn't it?
Okay.
Anyway.
Save your dips and go home.
Anything else, any discussion, any other questions on this, what we've been talking about?
We were gonna talk about Lake Street and Polk Street, even if we're not, I have,
Turn it over to Nick.
well, I don't think, we don't really need to have much discussion on it since there's not really money for it right now anyway.
Okay.
But, I did do kind of an overview. I think I have enough. Just, so, sometimes it's hard to think about how our projects fit in with everything else. And this is just kind of what we've been looking at as our network improvements. So with our comp plan, we'll be doing some modeling and kind of validating that these are the right moves for us transportation wise. But you can see Lake Street Extension is filling a gap where Clear Lake Boulevard, between Clear Lake Boulevard and Lake Street, and with our Tipton Street overpass project, it creates a really nice east-west corridor north of the railroad tracks in the city. And then Polk Street's the same thing. It's kind of building up some additional network east-west connectivity further north between McClung and Pine Lake Ave. And you can kind of see some of the other projects we have going on. So they're very key projects for us. They're very important. I know the scores were low, but that's because we haven't been through that kind of detailed modeling and analysis to really push those numbers up. So we just kind of put some base data in there. But I'm going to share that, and we can talk more about it when we figure out if there's any money in the future.
I would like to point out that typically new roads do not score well, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, even if it's a perfect road, it would only score like a 50.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way our NOFA application is geared more toward taking care of what we have than introducing new roadways. So, any questions for Nick? Okay, other new business. NERC is gonna have a NOFA meeting on November 9th at NERC at 9 a.m. I'll get you a constant contact tomorrow morning. Hopefully we get it out tomorrow.
Okay, sure.
Or you put it out Thursday. I won't be able to approve it on Thursday. But I'll get you something the first thing. Yeah. Tom may approve it. So, yeah, we're gonna be looking at the 2024 NOFA
When is it gonna be released?
in the fall. So we're looking at all the questions, and right now we're looking at all the questions and going through and trying to close any loopholes and figure out how, does a question make sense? If nobody is getting points for a question, then why have a question on there? If everybody's getting those points, the maximum number of those points, then again, why have a question on there? So, so we'll be going through some of that, and so if anybody wants to come to that, that's gonna be November 9th at 9 a.m. in NERC. So. The last one I did not have, we didn't have it televised. If you want, if we get enough, I could televise it, you just won't have any input. but you can always email me with your comments or something like that. So it won't be a Teams meeting, it would just be a YouTube video or whatever, however. But I haven't talked to Kevin about that yet. So. Anything else?
I have a request.
Yes.
Can NERC put together a workshop for city officials in the first quarter of next year to just go over the whole process of federal highway and NERC? I expect we're going to have quite a few new council members. And we have quite a few longtime council members that have like absolutely no idea how any of this works, or that there's funding available for our community. So I don't know if you would do it on a countywide scale, maybe hold 2 or 3 that anyone in the county could attend.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I got thrown into this, just because other people left and they're like, hey, Shannon, go to 3PC. I'm like, what's that? Like, I had like no direction or instruction whatsoever.
You think
And
your councilman got a lot of interest in it?
I think they would, yes.
I think.
The
so-
transition.
I think
Yeah.
yes, I would say so.
The new ones?
Yeah, they.
So-
Potential.
Potential.
If we had
So,
3 or 4 of those, you're thinking 3?
I'm thinking if
One per
at
county.
least we had one in Michigan City, I think it would be well attended. Now I'm just guessing on how the election outcome's gonna come out, but it would be beneficial. And I would like to say, after working on trails, that if you don't go as a city official and you don't know the process, you are at least invited to it.
And then you also have to think about it with the potential transition. They're gonna be eager to learn, so you're gonna get a lot of people firsthand that this will be their first learning process. And that's always a great opportunity to grasp a person when they're fresh in and excited. Then you will you'll build on your buy-in from different cities, but different places.
Yeah, and just the basics, a 101 class, this is the overview.
This is how the tip works and.
And those that wanna
What's
delve
the
into-
tip?
So what is it?
Yeah.
They don't-
Like, I'm going to, and then it'll leave less room for us, like, oh, I'm going to this meeting.
But-
Why aren't you in your office?
Charles, I get, me and her, you probably get the same question, why is it taking so long?
Uh-huh.
And it's like, well, here's how it works. It's a 5-year cycle, 10-year cycle, whatever. They don't.
Well, here's a great example, not to throw anyone under the bus, but I had a mayor tell me that we are not doing any more work on Seeing Sands, it stops today. To which I responded, here's the contract, if you would like to pay back $6 million, then I'll stop today. And it was just ignorance of the process. This particular mayor thought Michigan City was paying 100% of this project. We can't afford this. And just to avoid that, like, let's step up the.
You signed that MOU with the county, we already put our money into it too.
I think they get confused when you're like, okay, well, we have to wait till the 28 funding cycle, because that's when right away is going to happen, or when you get
Right.
funds for that. And they don't, so when you say that, all they hear is the 28. And they don't hear that other pieces happening in 24 and,
Right.
25. But the part where you going to see, like your visual when it starts the construction, that's all they care about is that. And then if you say it's in 28,
Why is it taking so long? Why aren't you
but if they
working on it?
understood that, hey, there's people on that road, you gotta ask. I can go in here, just tear down people stuff. Like, with our project, I can go in there and be like, give me half of your parking driveway right now. That's not how it works. I would love to do that. It's fun to me, all right,
I
but
just think it would be really beneficial, especially right now with climate in Michigan City. There's gonna be some big changes.
When do you think it would be the best time to hold it though? Because if they're coming in as new officials,
After the first year.
what's their
Schedule.
training time?
January.
Yeah.
January or February.
Yeah, I was gonna say February or March.
I'd say
Yeah.
March is probably the
Probably.
latest.
First quarter.
Latest
Anytime
in
after
January,
January.
February? Okay.
First
Anytime
quarter.
after January. I would say after, but not even in January, because they'll be just
They'll just be coming in.
They are gonna be eager.
They'll be working on
They are.
budgeting situations, right? Because you gotta look at the budget.
They're gonna be eager, like that first kind
Yeah.
of quarter, I think.
But I'm thinking like, and you invite everybody, Board of Works, anybody that has anything to do with this process.
And the older ones are gonna come because they're like, oh, the new fellas aren't going to that meeting without me.
I would
That's
say
how I
there's
feel
very
like they
few
talk.
people in the city of Michigan City that have any idea how any of this works. Very few.
And it's hard for us to, I wouldn't say explain it to them,
We
but
barely do.
we don't, like, I didn't want to say that part.
I was gonna say, we barely do.
I just, like, it's hard.
They rewrite the book every year, so.
Be like, wait till 28, you're gonna see the road, and you're darn near crying. They don't understand.
Well, and they don't understand that the money's on a timeline. That's extremely important. You guys all know when you have to go through park board, then it's gotta go to council, then it's gotta go to Board of Works, and the whole time, the clock's ticking.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the urgency. So I just think it would be a very
You
valuable.
would. And if they start to understand this funding, the way that they distribute funding in the city is still a process. I think once they connect those two, because like you said, we have to go through these phases. And they need to understand that that's the same thing here. Oh, you got the money. No, they're not just giving you the lump sum.
Well, now to even go after anything, we have to get it through.
Yeah.
Right, so one of the issues I run into all the time, with a lot of different grants that I work on, is the timeline.
Mhm.
And I've not been able to convince our city that you just need to put a pot of money out there for the grant match that only requires one resolution by the council, one meeting.
Just one.
Because by the time that I go through my park board and through 3 readings of the council and a finance committee meeting to get my match money, my grant deadline was 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
So the more they get educated on why we need it, why we have to move fast.
Can we move more nimble?
Yeah, exactly. Or if you have money that you just need to get rid of
It's the justification.
because
of
your
it all.
clock's ticking,
Right.
we would be in a better position to move faster on projects and spend that out instead of losing it.
And I'll come too.
Yeah, I think,
We'll all come.
Right?
I think you get.
It's really for us, Charles. We were just
It's
there.
really fun.
We just didn't want to say.
We were asking for a friend.
We're gonna use you to explain the tip and how it's like works.
Craig threw it out there, so we're just gonna ride off that. Thanks for your honesty.
Yeah, I know Ty Warner, our director, he usually meets with all the new mayors and does kind of an introduction. But we could put something together for anybody and everybody.
Well, I think the clerk treasurers need to be involved in that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
very heavily.
Well, I can
Ask, like,
schedule it.
yeah, very true.
You can invite
And
them.
I don't know how to, I can put it out there, but I don't know, I can't tell your treasurer to come. I may not even know who they are.
Well, if we
So
see
that's-
it, we'll
that's-
encourage.
Something you're gonna have to spread around, to your people.
The thing is too, if we schedule 3, we can
Well,
still include
but
all
we
the
would
people who
inform
did,
those
but
that
who
need
cannot
to
attend
go.
one can show up to another.
Right,
I think that's gonna be
right.
some people.
Cause like Sylvia might hit the one in
Mhm.
Lake County or the one over here, so either one.
Mhm.
You can hit the one in Lake County and then hit the one over here and correct us.
I'll just put me out there. I'm the aggressor. Be mad.
But it would be, yeah, I think it could be helpful because you'd understand the fiscal year,
Mhm.
you'd understand the cycles, understand the process, what a NOFA is, what a,
Tip is.
all those kinds of things. It's
It's
probably,
like a chess game.
at least having been at least remotely familiar with the
Yeah.
words that we're using. Like I said, they rewrite the book every year, so it changes, but, as far as some of the details, they're not gonna care about some of the details, but,
Just an overview.
And then another piece too that I think is important, because you have community, you have people that'll be like, why you didn't do X, Y, and Z, and you gotta explain to them the criteria, and then, that, it didn't score well over in this area, but it scored well over there, and if their council person came, they won't call Sylvia, and they can call such and such and be like, and they'll be able to explain it to them too. Okay, well, we submitted this project, but we didn't have this many points in this area because of X, Y, and Z. And they don't understand that. They think we just be like, hey, I don't like that neighborhood. Let's do it over here. That's how they hear it come out, so.
Or we're only spending money on trails.
Yeah. But yes,
Like, but
Yeah.
certain money, that's what it's really well suited for.
or understanding what a trail is versus what a sidewalk is. They're the same in essence, right?
There's eligible expenses in every grant,
Yeah. So,
so
Right.
obviously you can't use road money to support the school system,
yes.
vice versa.
Well, seriously, the mayor I'm talking about, when he said no, I just asked him to
It's a
go for a
hypothetical
walk
mayor.
on the trail.
It's a made up, the
So
mayor.
it was a 3-hour
That's the person's name.
trail hike and me explaining this process to him, how it works, that 80% is being paid, Michigan City's
I did
getting
not
a
know
gift,
either.
and by the end of that meeting, he had totally turned around. However, it cost us a 6-month delay and we almost lost the trail over it. We got our paperwork filed in Indianapolis with 1 minute to spare, or we would have lost the funding. 1 minute because of that 6-month delay. So to avoid that in the future, let's educate these people. And as leaders, they can make better decisions that way too. They can say, Shannon's going after this trail and Skylar and Sylvia have something like way bigger that needs to be taken care of first. Right now, it's a total disconnect. They don't know what we're doing. You know me, I just come to the
And they
table
always,
and grab money when nobody else is here.
and like, they wonder why they're like, why are you working on the trail? He's working on the trail. But that's the definition of it all, trail, certain trail, a sidewalk is a form of a transportation and a trail in definition. But they don't understand it. They hear trail and they think about somebody just walking on it. But then when you hear sidewalk, ain't somebody just walking on it? I'm just saying, I don't know.
I think we gave back a bunch of money too, because of just
People just be mad.
probably just because of misunderstanding what that money was for,
Yeah, the
to
person.
be honest. And we cut out the match for it and didn't want to do it, so I think it would be helpful.
It would, because the metaphorical mayor, we would have wasted, that's the name, we wasted a lot of time.
Did you vote for?
I don't live here, in that area with
Me
the
neither.
mayor. I don't live with the mayor, I can't vote.
But I am Southside Chicago, so I can vote if I really wanted to.
It's on
We know
video.
how.
We know, we can get it done. I'm not in on what she's on, just.
Hey, we're all part of the region. We know how to vote multiple times.
Well,
We grew up instructed how to do that.
I go in the region, I don't even live there.
we all going down,
Where's that speaker? Or
right?
microphone?
The Satan party didn't put me in prison this morning. I think I'm pretty good here.
That's true.
Okay, well, I'll discuss it with Tom and we'll try to get something set up. Like I said, I know Ty does meet with all the new mayors, kind of gives them an intro, but this might hit it home a little bit on
Well, and
why.
Tom understands local government very well and understands
Very well.
dealing with local officials and
Right.
decision makers and what they do and don't understand. So that's helpful. So he has our perspective.
And he has a great bedside manner, so they might listen to him.
If you
Yeah,
videotape
listen.
that and just put it out on your website where people can watch it at any time, they need a refresher course or someone new comes in.
When
Well,
somebody
I
gets
don't know if I
lazy.
can cover everything because, I don't know if we could cover everything because that could be an 8-hour day.
It could.
Well, just keep a brief overview, and like I said, if they're interested, they'll seek us out to get more detail.
Right, and then they
Seeking
can,
them out.
They'll ask.
If they counted like that,
It's actually not a bad idea.
I think she would, she would.
well,
And I think-
being Michigan City brought it up, I'm putting all 3 of your names on it.
Dang.
Two names.
Well,
That's why I didn't know which one.
It might as well be
Everybody
two, because you're gonna
understands
put his name and
the
he's gonna
environment,
slap
so-
me right on there, so it'll be, okay, Sylvia will definitely meet with you. That's how it'll go. So I'll prepare.
I think
Obviously, you won't take
some of our, and the county would be different, some of our newly elected officials attend some of the AIM events
The NEO
That-
training.
that are, training up front. I think some of that information is in there, but, I don't know if it's
It's
always from the,
different.
Yeah, it's not always from the
Yeah.
same
Because we
perspective
can't be,
of
we're not part of AIM.
Yeah.
And
And
we,
the,
we've asked, but they don't want us, they don't want MPOs part of AIM. So,
yeah, cause
yeah,
they
it's
have,
weird.
they have newly elected official training, but it's, I don't know if this is covered or not.
That's a thing.
I think
That's cool.
there's some, usually they'll have different, like, federal funding topics and stuff.
That would help. It would help if I'm putting together,
Somebody didn't even go to.
so
newly
that
elected
I'm
official
catching
training.
something.
Metaphorical mayor.
Why reinvent the wheel?
I'll ask.
Okay, I'll,
Should not say it
I'll
right.
put that on the,
He may have, but I
on the
don't know.
request list,
Mm-mm, I doubt it.
so let's see if we can get something going for February. And maybe we do this annually or something like that. Maybe after a couple of years, we'll get this nailed down to something simpler and then the federal government will change their, how
And
they
then we
have,
gotta do it all over again. Mm.
so,
We are just practitioners, so.
yeah, we're not experts, we're practitioners.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put that on there. I mentioned an open meeting on November 9th. So anything else for the good of the order? Move on to number 6. If we have nothing else, do I have a motion? Second,
Second.
all those in favor signify by standing up.
Seriously,
Okay.
you're gonna make us exercise.
You gotta
I don't need
get up